Hey, welcome back to the Now, the Life Youth podcast page. It's been a minute since we've posted, since we've gone live, since we've done much on the podcast. But today we have two awesome young men with us who are incredible. And so, why don't you go ahead and tell us who you are and what's been going on in the holiday season?
So what's going on, Fear Not? I'm Avon Janik,
I'm Damon Schlummer.
and we go here at Life Youth. And what inspired us to do this podcast is a lot.
Hold on, Aiden. Before we get into the podcast, tell us about what grade you guys are in.
Oh, I'm in 7th grade.
I'm in 8th grade.
Cool. What do you guys do at school? Anything good?
Basic school stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Sports,
Yeah.
Algebra, all that stuff.
algebra, math, fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it fun, but
It's school.
It's
it's cool.
Awesome.
I mean, probably the best part is Mr. Bambi.
BB.
Mr. Van
Yeah.
B is the best part.
Yeah, he's our social studies teacher. He's
Okay.
a dub. He's a dub.
Shout out. Okay. Because you're in 7th grade, right?
Yeah, shout out
7th
Mr.
grade.
Bambi.
Okay. Yeah.
W social studies teacher.
I love it. I love it. So one of the big reasons why, obviously we guys have you on the podcast is because you yourselves have started your own podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Tell us about the name of the podcast.
Name of the podcast is Fear Not Podcast. We're on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Our Instagram is a little weird. It's all lowercase fear _not_podcast_. So it's a little weird, but that's how you'll find us.
Find us. So, why Fear Not? Why'd you go with that title for the podcast?
Well, really, our editor Easton, he just found this picture and it was Fear Not. So we're just like, Fear Not Podcast sounds pretty good. So
Sure.
Yeah.
we're just like, yeah,
So how long ago did you guys start the podcast?
Around 4 weeks ago.
4 weeks. Yeah, probably like
4
a month
weeks.
ago.
4 weeks ago. So relatively new.
Yeah.
What kind of topics have you guys been talking about on there? Anything
So
specific?
honestly, we've been just really worried about getting this first podcast in. You know, just
Yeah.
like explaining what we're gonna do. We've done a couple Instagram lives, just
Yeah.
talking about what we're gonna do, but that's about it.
Yeah, we've been on our actual account. We've been just doing like Bible study. So like we've been saying Bible verses and stuff, doing
Yeah.
prayers every night on our account. But sadly, our TikTok account got banned. But
Did it? Why was that?
because it said we were too young, even though we're not.
Too
We're
young.
appealing it.
So we're appealing it. My mom just has to show like my
Huh.
passport or date of birth,
Yeah.
which we're trying to get that back. So
Do you feel like it was probably banned because you were talking about the Bible, talking about Jesus, praying? Do you feel like that was probably part of it?
Oh
And
no,
so
there's,
they,
No.
there's people on there all the time.
yeah,
so that's cool.
we actually gained 200 followers in one day.
Cool.
Which
Yeah.
shout
was
out to all of our
insane.
supporters for that. That was really amazing. But so right now we're just posting on TikTok. I'm at Instagram.
On
but
Instagram now.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. What do you guys foresee like in the future the way you guys will specifically talk about maybe your generational stuff? Do you think you'll talk about more specific topics? Or what do you think you guys might try to go like in the future try to do one for the listeners?
Okay, so I've been thinking just like share personal experiences, share our testimonies, and share just Bible verses that we come across while reading the Bible. Just like
Yeah. Also, if we get big enough, I was thinking about because there's this one guy. His name is Bryce Crawford. He goes outside to all these colleges, while also with his friend Cliff, and they all go out to all these colleges and just talk about and answer people's questions about them. And I would really like to just go out somewhere one day and just us three talking about answering questions about Jesus and the testimonies and stuff.
yeah,
Right, do maybe some like apologetics, like Christian apologetics,
Yeah,
kind of the
or, like,
explanation.
Or like some interviews and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, get out there, share the gospel. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You ever thought about doing it maybe, I don't know how, school events maybe around Columbia or Waterloo? I mean, there might be some pretty opportunities there.
yeah, I thought about it.
Yeah. Imagine we got our own float for the for the parade, or like, so we have this merch, but we it's like taking a long time to get a seller
Yeah.
that we can get our like someone to actually make it for us.
Right.
But I was thinking, like, at school, people sell these like bracelets and stuff every Tuesday. I was thinking we could probably like sell either some shirts or hoodies, or even some, if we just made some small like wristbands that just said "Fear Not" on them. That would be pretty cool too, just to make a few extra cash going to our fundraiser, which we're trying to save up. What was it, $1,000 to donate to St. Jude?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So trying to
that's-
use the podcast to kind of raise some money to help support, help give back,
yeah, all
help.
this we're focusing on more getting people's attention right now, and getting bigger, and just like sharing what we know.
Yeah.
And then once we get bigger, once the word's like out there more on our podcast,
Sure.
just like getting to those bigger things.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us. Okay, so the podcast's been going for 4 weeks. You two, and then your producer,
Yeah.
Easton, right?
Easton Simshauser, yeah.
So you guys are together one evening, hanging out, and all of a sudden you have this moment where you're like,
Oh.
"We need to start a
Oh,
pod." What
okay.
tell us about the?
I got a
You
story.
got it.
So, I was spending the night at Easton's house, right?
Okay.
And I'm like, I was just reading through the Bible, right? And, well, actually, no, I gave my Bible to him, and he was just highlighting verses while I was playing this game. And I'm like, imagine we made a podcast like how Bryce Crawford did, because this video of Bryce Crawford just pulled up on my For You. And I'm like, and Easton's like, sounds like a good idea. And I'm like, all right, let me call Avon to see if he's in it. Because I'm like, Avon's a big Christian man now. And I just turned into a Christian. So I'm like, yo, Avon, we call. And I'm like, I'm thinking about making a podcast at my house and stuff. And he's like, yeah, it sounds fire. Why don't we do it? And he's just like, all right, why don't we name it Fear Not Podcast? And we're like, boom. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were on like a 2-hour call that night. Just like, all right, here's our TikTok. Here's how you get onto the account. Just like all of that, just like setting up everything. And it was like, I was so excited the whole way. We were just like making up big ideas.
Yeah.
Some like, dude, let's get merch. And Instagram. Let's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
It was crazy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's
Yeah.
cool whenever you can sit down and all of a sudden these things just begin to come into play and you begin to think of
Develop.
things. That's sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Super sweet. Super
yeah,
sweet.
we were really excited about this.
Which I also do think it might have been a sign from God to make this
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't without God, I don't think I would have had the idea pull up about Bryce Crawford and making the podcast. So
yeah.
really, he gets the big shout out, because if I didn't have him, I wouldn't have made the podcast.
Yeah, shout out to
Definitely.
Bryce Crawford. His Instagram's just Bryce Crawford. TikTok is just Bryce Crawford.
He also has a YouTube, so he has a podcast YouTube, and he has a regular YouTube where he goes out to these communities and prays for people, get them food and stuff, which it's really amazing. He does a lot of good stuff.
Right. Which I think it's awesome. I think it's also really impressive you guys still being in middle school,
Yeah.
you know, desiring to do this, desiring to make an effect on not just your generation, but you know, go online and allow kids to see what's going on. What do you guys, let me ask you this question right now. What do you guys think is the biggest thing that affects your guys' generation, your age group right now that you see from your schools and from your friends? What's the thing that's affecting them the most that you would think that?
So, honestly, I think it's just online stuff.
A
A
lot
lot of
online-
technology. A lot of video games. Like you hear that from your parents a lot. Like you got anger
Mhm.
issues because you play too many video games. You know, that's what is making people say the wrong things, do the wrong things, and there's just like a lot of stuff out there that can just change your personality.
Yeah.
It's good. Damon, what do you think?
Like another thing, like also like not going outside enough. Like you're just staying in one place the whole time,
Yeah.
and like people don't think about what they're gonna say, and then when they say it, they just sin the whole time, which I've been trying to help a lot of people. I know Avon has too at school, where we're just praying for these people, and I actually got one person to become a Christian and start reading the Bible and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like Avon said, a lot of online experiences make kids say the wrong things at the wrong time, or video games, or really just everything that's online is ruining the not everything bad is everything online is bad,
Right.
but most of it
Mhm.
makes the generation kind of not good.
Yeah, there's like a large part of it that's people are getting distracted and consumed by it, right? Yeah.
It's it's dopamine.
Yeah,
lot of
it's
the
a dopamine
Yeah.
high. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. That's a lot. Yeah, and there's a lot of scientific things we can talk about to go into that too. What do you think? You think a lot of your kids, whenever you're witnessing to them, you're sharing Jesus, or you're like, hey man, like you guys should be reading the Bible. Do you feel like a lot of the kids you talk to have no experience with the Bible? They have never opened it, they never read it, nor do they really talk about it. Do you feel like there's a lot of that, or do you feel more it's like people who have like kind of an idea of what it is, and they just like, yeah, you know, whatever. What do you guys think is your experience as you go through your school?
There's definitely a lot of kids out there that just haven't experienced the Lord, just don't know anything about the Lord because they just weren't raised like that.
Yeah.
And this is the whole idea of this podcast, really get the word out there. But yeah, to go along with your question, again, there is a lot of people that just like know what the Bible is, know what Christianity is, but just like maybe they don't want to be a Christian. Maybe they are more comfortable not believing in anything. There's a lot of reasons why they might not be a Christian, but yeah, there definitely is a lot. But this is the whole idea of this podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, adding on to that about how you said people might know they might have experienced God and all of the Christianity, but they don't follow Jesus's laws or the laws of God and Jesus. They don't obey them because I've had a lot of people say when I'm praying I don't feel God's presence, and I'm like, yeah, that happens to everyone because he's testing you to see if you're a real Christian and you'll stick with him.
Okay.
Kind of like how Job lost everyone, but he's like, God, why are you doing this to me? And he's like, who are you to ask what I do to you?
Sure.
And she just stuck with him the whole way. And the
Yeah.
devil was amazed because he's like, the only reason he believes in you is because you give him everything.
Right. No, it's true. It's good. I would say a lot of people have. I mean, this is part of my story was having an understanding, a knowledge of God, but deprived of relationship. You know, you're not in relationship with Him. You're not in communion with Him. You're not in prayer. You're not in these different things that would draw you close to God in that way. So I would 100% agree with all those things. So
Yeah.
You guys have anything else from the podcast? Anything else you feel like you need to say that
No,
you want to let people know?
we're just really excited to get.
Yeah, we're really excited just to get this going.
Yeah.
I think we're doing live streams every night, so it's gonna be on our Instagram. Like I said, it's all the underscores, but just tune in, because we can't live stream on our actual podcast account because I think we have too many people on there. So either go on Avon Janik's account or my account, and we're just gonna be live streaming every night, bringing people in to ask them questions about God, doing something different every night. So just try to tune into those just a few minutes, and even sharing the video, that's basically like sharing the gospel, because we're over here preaching the gospel, and you sharing the video to someone and then watching for a few minutes, it could help them out a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, on Fridays and Saturdays, I think I'm gonna try and aim for 9 to 10:30 at most.
Yeah.
And just like on weekdays,
probably
no promises, but we're usually doing it around 5:30 to 6, 5:37.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, it's all the time we have for the podcast today. We, like we said, Fear Not Podcast. Tune into them. Follow them on Instagram, on TikTok. Keep up with what they're doing. I'm sure they're going to produce some really, really, really good content that's really going to be effective
Yeah.
for their grade and for the generations, and obviously bring some good stuff that's online. So appreciate you watching today, and we're out.